Welcome to What's New in Business Central 2025 Wave 1. This is version 26 of Business Central Cloud. I'm Marie. For new attendees, I'm Client Advantage Manager at Opendoor, which for you means that I manage deployment teams and the help desk. For not new attendees, I'm wearing my flannel shirt here because we're getting snow in Montreal today, so it felt appropriate for mid-April. Today, we're going to look at improvements and new features to Business Central. Many of them come from ideas that were submitted via Microsoft Ideas. So remember that if you have an idea for an improvement or a change in Business Central, you can go to the portal, log in, check if your idea already exists. If so, upvote the existing idea or submit a new one. Don't forget also to share these ideas with us, your Business Central partner, and with also colleagues and people who can go on the portal and also upvote the idea. It's similar to like in more common terms. And the features who get the most votes will often get implemented and make it to the roadmap with Microsoft. We're going to start directly in Business Central today, and we're going to take a look at changes that are readily available. Other features are available in preview only. I'll try to mention those as I go. So I'll start from a sales order to show you one major, I'm going to say, improvement to the user interface and experience. So you'll see that the sizing of the page is less restricted than it currently is, maybe in your current version, but also I can resize my fact boxes and it will stick to the width that I want. There's also improvement here so that things are more spaced out, but take also less space at the same time so that the view is better structured, so you can more easily navigate through the page and you get more space. I'll create a new sales order. You'll notice along the way that we see little sparkles in several spots. There is a new feature called Autofill Fields with Copilot. So Copilot is in the bank reconciliation. You can do marketing text. You can now suggest values in some fields. So that's available on some cards and document pages, and it will suggest auto-filling fields for you. In this case, I'm selecting a customer number, so it's less useful for my purpose, but you do get fields where it's really useful, and you can give it a try in your environments. I will create a sales order for SP SEM 1009. All right. I'll grab just one. And we will go and take a look at a related production order. So I'm making an item. In this case, it is a make to order item, and we're going to take a look at major improvements we have on the manufacturing side. So in the last update, there were major changes and sprucing up of the projects area, formerly known as jobs. Here, the manufacturing area that has not been touched in a long, long while has been improved. And you can use additional features that were previously not available. So we see again here that my pages are larger when I navigate from another page. I could also look for it, search and navigate to get the full page experience if I wanted to, but even the embedded page like this is larger. You'll notice that you can now add documents to production orders and notes, which was previously not available, and is an enhancement that people really requested. You also have in your journals, you have the ability to edit in Excel. So that is now available in the production journal, but in the consumption journal, the output journal, and the one that everybody, even people who don't do manufacturing, use, the item journal. So you can skip over the copying and pasting that was sometimes a little more difficult, or using a configuration package, and use Edit in Excel to be able to bring entries in Business Central. I'll remove a little bit of output there because I don't want to post anything for the next steps. Yes, I do want to leave the production journal. There are new functions that will make people happy. They're not fully fleshed out yet, but you can now reverse consumptions on a production order without having to work through manual entries. And you can also reopen a finished production order if you made a mistake and you finished it, so you change the status without output. You'll also notice that here, I can't even finish my order because I didn't post an output. I just exited my journal. I did that on purpose. So there's a new setup that will, if you toggle it, it will prevent you from finishing an order when you didn't post an output. So there are additional controls in place so that you can streamline your process and avoid mistakes. If you change the setting, you will still be able to confirm you want to finish the order, but then you'll have the option to go, oops, and use the reopen production order function to go and put your output in. It's not a fully, reopen the production order and update and then post it again. There are some limitations and restrictions, but it is a step in being able to, fully update, edit, or reverse entries linked to a production order without having to do it manually. I'll say no to that one, and I'll back out of there. There's another improvement that is in it's the small things that bring happiness category. If I add a document here, I'm gonna go and grab it on the side. It will open on my screen here. That's okay. I'll just move it. Well, when you attach files, you already know you can select the files or you can drag and drop. But what you can also do is get your PDF in. You have a progress bar now that lets you know what's happening, which it didn't before and is a good indicator. But when you click on a PDF, you do not have to download it. You do not have to click around. You can just click on it and see its preview. You could also open it in another tab if you wanted. So it avoids the addition of numerous downloaded files when you want to look at attached documents. It does that on all the attachments and documents you put into Business Central for the PDFs. So it will not download automatically anymore. If I go back to lists, so we have a lot done in the interface with this version. There are additional columns that are available, but also if you've asked me before, can I add a calculated field on the list, or can we add more calculated fields on the list? I probably said no, or my team member said it would not be a good idea, because those fields calculate constantly because the system is live and it slows down the system. There's a new feature that in this release that only recalculates the calculated fields that are visible on the page. That means we'll now be able to say yes to your requests, and devs can use this new property to make sure that the flow field doesn't calculate all the time and that only the ones shown calculate. This makes a big change for performance when you have a lot of entries and a lot of transactions happening in the system at the same time. Also, you can resize the columns if you want to, and it sticks. So you can get out of the page, come back, and it will remember you put your columns as you want them. All right. One other cool thing, because I mentioned the autofill with Copilot. You can now summarize with Copilot. So it takes a little bit of time to think. It is still in preview mode, as you see, so it's gathering information. We have to be a little bit patient with it. But this summarize with Copilot function, it can be that you're looking at customers' details, at a large order, at other records, and you might spend time to go and fetch data or see what your margin is, or any other information about the account, the order, or related info. So what this summary pane does here is that the fact box will display related information and will highlight in a couple bullet points the top things that you might need or want to know about the record you're on. So earlier I was trying it out. I was on a customer and they owe us a ton of money in the demo company, and it was giving me their phone number, the contact name, and their terms, so that someone could call and discuss their account with them. The summaries are also tailored to your role. So you see that mine talks about sales and outstanding invoices and profit. It would be adjusted if my role was not business manager. So that's why I get these insights. So if I was there's a warehouse worker role or sales order processor role, I would get different information based on my profile. So it's really useful to get additional information. And it's just a pane that you enabled, and you can refresh it should you need. It can live on the side of your pages, and you can consult it as you need. The other thing that's coming is the sales order agent. Some of you might have already discussed this with our team. You can now use the sales order agent to help with sales order entry in your system. The way it works is that when the service is set up, customers can email you, and then the sales order agent will process those emails using Copilot to create sales orders. So it will go and match items, quantities, the customer number, and create a document. There's a full audit trail. It is not fully, independent of users. It is meant to help and support the work and save a lot on typing. So it will create sales orders you can review and then process in your system. There are additional features coming with Copilot in the next version. So in the next webinars, we'll cover those. And also once they're no longer in either private preview or are readily released, we can walk you through those. All right, I will switch back to slides. There are admin changes in this version. The first one is that to make it easier to plan for changes and extension maintenance ahead of time, There will now be compatibility warnings visible in the admin center. So you currently receive an email, or your admin receives an email when there is maintenance required on an extension or an app before an update. If you miss that email, it might be that your update fails and then you have to react. Well, having warnings in the admin center will help us as your partner, but also you, if you self-manage updates, to see what maintenance is required and to plan for the updates. Then for each major BC update, Microsoft will organize a public preview that starts about a month before the release of the update. That lets you and us test and prepare for the new version. Until now, it was not possible to update sandbox environment to a preview version. You had to create a new demo Cronus sandbox. That means you could not test with your data, your apps, and your customizations, at least not easily. This will change in an upcoming release. So in a couple months, it will be in one of the upcoming minors, and you will be able to update a sandbox, one of yours, to the preview version in advance of its release. From feature management, the third one is from feature management, you can enable a feature to allow multiple users to post at the exact same time for 3 separate areas: item ledger value entries, project entries, and resource entries. So without this feature, what currently is live is that if many users post at the exact same time, they might experience a lock. That means either slower processing, slower posting, or they get the dreaded message saying that table is locked by another user and they have to do their posting again. The new feature introduces a background process that sequences the entries, and it avoids those lags or locks. So it's going to be an interesting feature that you might want to enable. Again, in feature management, it is in preview, but we recommend it if you do run into locking issues or performance issues. It's something you might want to take a look at. And the last one, admins can now pre-select allowed languages to avoid confusion and mix-ups in the system. So there's a new allowed languages page where you can enable only the languages that the environment supports, and those are what will show in my settings for all the users. That's not new, but you should not forget that you can and should set user preferences for language, region, and time zone for each of your users in user personalization, so that data entry and interface is standardized across the board for your users. There are changes to reporting. In financial reports, you'll be able to hide empty rows. You can document report usage. You will be able to write intro and closing paragraphs. There are new column types available. Month to date is an example of a type of column that did not exist that will be made available. And you can save and run the financial reports using Excel templates, and not only the base standard RDLC. There's also telemetry access, so that's more for admins, but there are telemetry reports around report usage and events for reporting that will be available. The Excel layouts offer devs additional properties so that they can create more complex and custom report layouts. I'm mentioning it to you because some people really like the Excel layouts, but there are some limitations for multi-sheets and other options. There have been improvements, so we'll now be able to say yes to more requests, and it will become easier to assist you with those layouts. Similar to the Excel layouts, you can now access report and request, it's called metadata in the Word layouts without the need for a dev to go and make changes to the data sets to add fields. So common information that was requested was the company name where the report was run from, the report ID, the date time the report was printed, the user name, so user ID of the person who printed the report. Those you typically don't want on customer or vendor facing reports, but for management reports, you do want them in your layout, and they were not readily available, which meant you needed us or a dev to go and add the fields so you could put them on your reports. That won't be needed anymore. They will be readily available with the other fields in the layout so you can add them. The last one goes with the changes around manufacturing that will be released around May-ish, I'm going to say. So there are improvements in reporting in the manufacturing area. So you'll be able to track new KPIs in reports, but also there will be a Power BI manufacturing app that will be readily available that you can use to see additional reports. Many existing reports will be replaced by new ones that are improved and that also come with an Excel layout so that it's easier for you to work with the data. There is documentation about which reports are going to be swapped or replaced by newer ones. The full replacement, so the removal of the old reports, is planned for 2027. So you'll have a lot of time to explore those new additional reports that will be added, and then to replace the, in your day-to-day and start using those new reports. All the existing reports are being updated with teaching tips and documentation, and that will be available so directly in Business Central when you look at the help and the tooltips on the reports. But there is a manufacturing analytics section in Microsoft Learn that is also available where you can see all the information. So if you use manufacturing reports, there are interesting improvements in that area for this version and the next minors. Finally, Shopify integration. You can now enable specific sales channels to simplify your workflows and your synchronization between Shopify and Business Central so that when you sync products, you can select the channels. So your online store, your point of sale terminals, you can select the channels where the items will be available. This was not an option that was available before. When you push to Shopify, all channels got updated automatically. You now get more control over these areas. The Shopify connector will skip records where there are errors when you run synchronizations, which is what you want, because you don't want to carry over to the other system invalid entries. But currently, you had to go to various pages to spot them and have specific lists and views to be able to make some adjustments and then run the routines again. With this new release, there is a page where you can see the records that are rejected, that are invalid, and why. So it's called Shopify Skipped Records, and you can review those records and then make the corrections. So you have a list of exceptions that you can manage instead of routing around for, customers, items, invoices, catalogs, and shipments that might not have synchronized properly. This last one was planned for release when we held our previous webinar, but it is now released. But it's important and it's a great tool. So I want to cover it again. In Shopify, you can use meta fields to create your own tags or fields to store some information. That can be customer preferences, credit limits, loyalty program levels, some social media links, a segment. On items, it could be a product category, attributes, or some references. Well, you can now export and import those meta fields through the Shopify connector, which is neat because you get additional information in Business Central or to Shopify from Business Central if you create the record in BC. But also, it means that you have more flexibility in the way you manage your records because we can now also extend, so develop the programmer changes to the Shopify connector. For example, if you want various posting groups to be assigned to items, well, the Shopify connector works with one item template, but we can code an extension that will go and read the meta fields and select a posting group based off that. So you get way more flexibility in the way you manage the customers, the products, and other records coming from or going to Shopify with this change. Those are the main highlights of this new version. I can stick around for a couple minutes. I always try to keep 5 minutes for questions. If you have any, you can throw them in the chats or in the little question area. If I cannot answer those right away, we'll get back to you afterwards with the information. Thank you for attending. The recording will be made available to all. If you want my slides or links to some of the items that we've shown, I've got extensive prep notes with all the direct links to the features I've discussed. So that's also something I can send over to you should you want them. But thank you all for attending and you have a good day.